Mars in the 12th house Synastry. And I'm not going to try to make this too long, guys, because it's already very hard to just simply explain matters of the 12th house. It just normally is. That's just how it goes. And Mars in the 12th house is no different. When Mars in the 12th house Synastry, Mars can oftentimes feel like that. Mars feels like it's drowning. The Mars individual could feel like it's drowning within the 12th house person. And the 12th house person may or may not even be aware of the fact that they have this much power over the Mars person. I don't really know if I see people talking about the amount of power that the 12th house has over the Mars person. Because it always seems like, okay, well, if it's the planet hitting the 12th house, the planet has more of the power. I don't know. Because it depends on, is the planet in Pisces? Is the planet in Scorpio? Like, what planet in what sign is happening here? Because you got to think of it like this. Pisces, Neptune, the deep, wide, vast waters of Neptune. Just imagine an ocean. It's very powerful, mind you. Yes, I get it. Excuse me. In this particular synastry, the 12th house person, I feel like, since Mars is hitting the 12th house person in a place to where the 12th house person doesn't even know, they're not even really always aware of the feelings that they hold deep inside subconsciously, that they hold at bay, that they don't always release. When the Mars person touches the 12th house person, the Mars person activates this need for this 12th house person to consciously or unconsciously release the subconscious, release these held back or untapped into waters and emotions, right? And a lot of times Mars, it finds it too much, too overwhelming, too powerful. Mars just wants to go, just wants to do. And then it hitting the 12th house is kind of like, okay, well, we can't even go to see a movie without you, wanting me to express my undying love to you, or without you wanting me to display some sort of action that is accommodating your feelings that I may not even know about, or your thought process that I am unaware of. Even though the Mars person may, because you gotta understand too, the Mars person likes being catered to by the 12th house person, or even accommodated, because the 12th house person can find a way to validate and accommodate the Mars person's actions, back them and everything. The Mars person likes exploring this part of the 12th house that really, I don't even think that the 12th house person is necessarily understanding the Mars person per se. But I feel like the 12th house person becomes accepting, right, and allowing of the Mars person. So the Mars person is like, doesn't feel threatened by the 12th house person, because the Mars person feels like, well, shoot, finally, I find someone that's kind of allowing me to do me and be me, and they're going to accept me in what I do no matter what. Now, that's not necessarily a good thing always. You see what I'm saying? But you can see how the Mars person may or may not, like, yes, they could be initially turned on by it, or they love having a place to come back home to. But over time, it can become boring. The 12th house person could not be a challenge as much as a challenge and fun, and where the Mars person could just let go, even when it comes to things just as simple as lovemaking or something like that. Now, don't get me wrong. The Mars person here and hitting a person's 12th house, this can be very passionate displays of emotion and physicality, and desiring each other, just, erupting all at once. But at the same time, let's say Mars just wants to be desired, or Mars just wants to be passionate, or Mars just wants to not really get as deep. Mars just wants to kind of be a little bit surface and just be a little bit fun and just be a little bit wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, whatever. The 12th house person then proceeds to drown out the Mars person, that experience. Now the Mars person is feeling like it's too heavy to deal with the 12th house person all the time. And then you can see the Mars person pulling back and taking his energy and going into other directions that's more lighter. Then you can see the Mars person wanting to, separate itself from the 12th house person. Now, what you can see is sometimes extra curricular activities going on here, because it's like the Mars person really does believe deep down inside that the 12th house person is just going to always be around. So the 12th house person can feel like, well, the Mars person is somebody, the Mars person can feel like, well, the 12th house person is somebody that I deal with, whenever. I may not give all to this person. I'm not saying that the Mars person doesn't care about the 12th house person, but since the 12th house person can be so accepting, they can accept things from the Mars person that maybe in another relationship, the Mars person cannot do what they're doing. Okay. But I will say this, because this could definitely be like a karmic soulmate connection. I do feel like whenever planets hit the 12th house in Synastry, that's what shows up. But depending on what the planet is, Venus could be more of a soulmate connection. The two fantasize, they want to kind of develop things with each other, and oftentimes do when it's material, when they can come out of the fantasizing part and actually produce things, Mercury here could be very telepathic. Mars here almost has a telepathic vibe, but it's more in a doing way. Like the 12th house person knows what to do to the Mars person to bring them back in, or to keep them going, to make them feel desired. The Mars person knows the same thing about the 12th house person. It's like they can sometimes move, like know how to do things, know how to move in a way to where the other person kind of is like, okay, yeah, you know me. Like, what I would do in this situation, or what I want to do. They just know how to accommodate each other. They know each other's desires as well. But the problem is here, if you have, because I know I'm talking more about what the 12th house person is doing, but you have to understand the 12th house person at any given time, it's also being activated, the subconscious of the 12th house person. And the Mars person, just by the way of the Mars person, the way that they are, could trigger the 12th house person if they're not really ready to acknowledge some deeper rooted, deeper seated aspects that they have going on. Now, the love making and stuff could be crazy good and addictive to these two, because you can literally, Mars touching the person's 12th house could take the individuals out of this world, like out of this plane of existence to somewhere else. And then it's almost like when they wake up out of it, or when they quit, or when they stop, it's like, oh my gosh, reality here. It's like they escape time, literally, when making love to each other or being sexually involved. They can be very intimate with each other. They can know how to touch each other and just different things naturally, intuitively. But the problem, or something that gets in the way, is that a lot of times coming out of that and back, it's hard to adjust their relationship into the real world, because it could be something about it to where both parties or both individuals is like, okay, I don't understand how this is going to work. Like the 12th house person could be more adept to saying like, okay, well, we can try to just make it work. We could just, I will be here. But somewhere along the lines, with this being karmic aspect too, and soulmates, there could be past life things, or this lifetime they establish a karmic link for the next lifetime. It just depends. I don't really want to go into that, but it's something about it to where they could feel like it's hard to translate this relationship over to something that could really just sustain itself in the world. Now, when they can do this, like they both can operate on a more mature level, and things of that nature, you can see them have a very romantic, accepting relationship. And I really do believe that it comes at a price. Like, it comes at a price, like, they have to kind of give up their own individual, well, I should say they have to give up their own individual desires, but in the way that they do, like, they have to give up some aspect to their individuality to kind of really come together and mesh as one. And that's, and to still be enlightened and operate from an enlightened state, that's could be hard to do. It will take some rather mature people or individuals to pull this off. But it doesn't mean it can't happen, you know? But, so this has been Mars in the 12th house Synastry. I'm Butterflies of Light. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back.